Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Crypto Philanthropy, your guide to crypto powered change. Nick Michalewski, Senior Sales Manager here at The Giving Block. And flying solo this week, my colleague Pietro is out in the field, but we've got such a great episode today. I'm really excited to bring on our next guest, Jeff Kloss, who is Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer at the Foundation Fighting Blindness. This is going to be a really great conversation. Jeff has a really cool origin story. He's got some great insight about crypto giving in general, information for nonprofits, for donors. I think we're going to be covering a lot of territory in this episode. So without further ado, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nick. I really appreciate it. Really glad to be here.
Yeah, fantastic. So listen, so people can get to know a little bit about Jeff. I'm going to read a quick bio here. If after this episode, you want to get in touch with the organization, get in touch with Jeff, we'll make sure to put all the relevant kind of links in the show notes. But to kind of kick things off, as we mentioned, you are Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer at the Foundation Fighting Blindness, where he leads efforts to accelerate research and treatments for blinding diseases, a global executive, philanthropist, cancer survivor, Ironman World Championship triathlete, and published author. Jeff spent more than 25 years driving innovation and social impact across industries, holding senior leadership roles at public companies, venture-backed startups, and nonprofits, and today also serves as a professor of innovation and entrepreneurship at UC San Diego. Love this. Known for his quick wit and passion for servant leadership, Jeff brings a unique perspective on how technology and philanthropy can work together to create lasting change. And man, what a great kind of ending sentence there. It's what we love here at the Giving Block. So Jeff, really excited to have you here. You shared a really cool kind of origin story, but before we get to that, just tell us what the foundation does. What's Foundation Fighting Blindness's mission?
Yeah, I appreciate the question, Nick. So really at its most basic sense, the Foundation Fighting Blindness is the global driving force in the development of breakthroughs with treatments and cures for blinding diseases. And we have a specific emphasis and focus around what are known as inherited retinal diseases and dry AMD.
Got it. And okay, so we've got your mission, technology, modern giving preferences. You have a little bit of a connection to one of our co-founders. Tell us that story, because how sort of crypto philanthropy kind of became a thing at your organization was really pretty cool. So walk us through how that all came about.
Sure. So philanthropic organizations are always challenged with new ways of innovation. And innovation typically starts with disruption. And one of the problems in the market for all nonprofits, and there are 1.7 million nonprofits in the United States, 5 million globally, and we all compete for mission-driven dollars for a variety of incredibly meaningful purposes. But those who are really able to address problems by the intersection of technology, philanthropic giving, and then combining that with benefits for both the donor and the mission-driven organization tend to accelerate giving. And early on in the founding of the Giving Block, I was able to meet the founder, Pat Duffy. And we had a conversation around 2019 or so about this incredible intersection of this amazing community that you all belong to and we belong to as well, which was focused on cryptocurrencies. And there was all this asset appreciation over years in the marketplace, primarily from Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, and other popular currencies. And we wanted a way to be able to reach out to that community and make it part of ours at a top 20 global NGO. And through that courage and leadership, we reached out to folks. We had established a relationship with the Giving Block. And on our very first day of announcing what we were doing, there was a very particular coin, Dogecoin, in this case, and we received a donation for $250,000. And it wasn't because that individual only knew about our mission, it is that we created a path and intersection of technology and philanthropy to amplify mission. And at the Foundation Fighting Blindness, that's exactly what we're doing today to help accelerate that intersection of cutting edge science and gene therapy, stem cell research, and other emerging technologies, all aimed at saving and restoring sight, which impacts a significant amount of the global population. So if we estimated, let's say there's 8 billion people on the planet, 1 out of every 53 people suffers from low vision in some way. Most of this is potentially investable through what we do in research. And those types of resources that we can combine together will translate into real treatments faster for those individuals who are affected.
Yeah, amazing. And I guess I'd have to imagine, any kind of development team, who's listening to that is probably thinking, oh my gosh, $250,000 in day one. Like, was the organization kind of ready for this? Like, how did you sort of get the courage to even present this to the leadership? What was like the initial feedback? Was it like high fives all around, or was it kind of like, I don't know, this, should we really be going down this road? Because you kind of got in at a fairly early on. You're probably one of the sort of, nonprofit OGs in the space.
Yeah, I like to think that certain organizations operate with a certain amount of courage, but it's always very difficult for organizations, I think, when you try and disrupt the status quo. And that's what the Giving Block represents. And of course, it's community as well
Yeah.
of those who are involved in alternative currencies, those who are involved in donor advised funds, those who are involved in transactions around the digital currency market. It's a disruptive technology naturally. And those who can provide real value and benefit to that community, align their personal beliefs with what we do. It was a very challenging conversation at first, but I think now we're in a place where we have asset allocation in people's personal portfolios. We've seen a tremendous rise in these types of assets over time. And given there's a significant amount of appreciation, what's wonderful is we also have tax legislation in 2025 that will allow individuals who are custodians of digital currencies, donor advised funds, to take advantage of these new laws, which are set to take effect in 2026. And if you take advantage of it now through organizations like ourselves, like the Foundation Fighting Blindness, you could reduce your tax benefits with all of your charitable gifts to charitable organizations for a variety of reasons. But most importantly, you get to drive mission forward and you get to create impact in communities that we all serve. And initially, that just wasn't something that most traditional non-government organizations or nonprofits were comfortable with. But nowadays, it's becoming more commonplace. And this is an incredibly important area for us that we want to connect with this community and let them know that their dollar, their impact that they give through any type of cryptocurrency, any type of donor advised fund, any equity that they pledge, we're going to amplify that in many ways.
Yeah, that's great. And for some of the donors that are listening to this, we talk often about the fact that many have this sort of these extra assets. I mean, 90% of wealth in this country is held in assets, not cash. So for nonprofits that are sort of typically in kind of like the first most convenient option they put on their site is sort of that card option. And then there might be ways to accept assets, but it might be more of a manual process. You might have to call first, reach out, send an email. It would be great if there was ways to just capture that moment of generosity right there. And for anybody who's, sort of listening, go to the website. We'll put a link in the show notes. You guys have a phenomenal like ways to give, drop down, easy, simple, one click,
Mm-hmm.
and they're ready to give. So if anybody was taking notes on a really great example, I encourage you to check out the homepage. It's really great. But yeah, I guess for the crypto community and for people who have all this extra sort of assets that they could donate, and for anybody that wants to take crypto profits, great way to offset those capital gains and provide some critical research support. What do these donations do? What do they power? Tell our donor community and the crypto community, what you guys are doing and how these crypto donations matter.
Sure. We have an incredibly powerful platform. The Foundation Fighting Blindness is a global organization that really applies cutting edge science in areas like gene therapy, stem cell research, and emerging technologies, but they're all aimed at saving and restoring sight. At the same time, if you just go back 25 years, and we'll even call it close to the nexus of when cryptocurrencies or alts were invented in the marketplace, there was only one clinical trial 25-ish years or so where patients who were diagnosed with an inherited retinal disease, retinitis pigmentosa, for example, or others were basically told, get ready, you're going to go blind. And that is a very common story that we hear. But now, with our platforms and the way that individuals can truly invest in the Foundation Fighting Blindness, we're bringing together researchers, industry leaders, so that breakthroughs in the lab can translate into real treatments faster. And what that means today through individuals, especially those who have experienced asset appreciation, how does that amplify the impact? Well, first of all, what happens is that goes to fund and advance more than 50 clinical trials today. So exponential growth in what we do for specific impact to patients. Last year, we funded 104 global grants across 92 institutions, supporting over 130 investigators. But what it means to the individual, and this is the most important at the end of the day, is who is your mission and your purpose really impacting and creating outcomes for, is that people with vision loss, they deserve progress right now. Because you can imagine, even on a show like this, or for those in the community that we serve, if they're using a trading platform, everything is done through a visual, graphical user interface. There's a lack of accessibility in that marketplace. So imagine trying to live your life to its fullest with basic restrictions. And so what we do is we're driving that research forward every single day. And there are very promising research advancements on the cusp of moving into the marketplace. So the ability then to preserve vision, perhaps to restore vision with very ambitious projects like whole eye transplant, which has really never been done before in a global systematic way. We are leading part of some very unique projects that come from funding of donors like yours, where these are high dollar, high risk projects. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, but we know we can do it. And so that ambition, that intersection of technology, philanthropy, is right where we are perfectly positioned to serve the community that we are most concerned about. And this is where individuals who follow these podcasts or are part of that intersection of that community, they can have impact right now.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I guess speaking of, impact right now and things that are coming down the pike. We're recording this, episode in we're almost to the month of October. There's a couple big awareness events going on in your industry. Maybe tell the viewers and maybe those crypto donors out there what's happening in October and some of the campaigns that might be right around the corner. So for anybody that's looking to make some of those tax optimized gifts here in the fall, how they might be able to support.
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's a couple things coming up. We have Low Vision Awareness Month on October 9th. It's World Sight Day. But really at the end, it's all about drawing attention to vision health. And so, as I alluded to earlier, there are, I think the statistic is there's about 2.2 billion people who are affected by low vision in some way. And a lot of that, in its most basic sense, is vision starts to deteriorate over time. Where we focus is at the back of the eye and specifically on the retina. And so as vision loss isn't equal amongst all people, there are people in the low and the middle income countries who are hit the hardest. There's fewer resources for diagnosis and treatment or assistive technologies. And so the foundation is helping level the playing field by supporting research that will benefit everyone. And so how I think about it coming up on, let's say, the last 90 days of the year, is that people may start to think about, okay, what can I do to act philanthropically before the end of the year? And why should I act right now in 2025 before some of the new tax laws take effect. And I'm going to give you a couple of quick examples of things that might be beneficial to our audience. So number one, in 2025, you could accelerate future pledges, meaning you could pay multi-year commitments now, perhaps with a donor advised fund, a cryptocurrency, and you can lock in those tax benefits in this year. Number two is you can make a larger one-time gift, and you could consider making your 2026 gift now in 2025 because you can take advantage of certain appreciation that may have gone on in the market this year and in prior years with assets increasing over time. And then lastly, although I can't give tax advice, but in general, with the changes that are coming in 2026, the deduction rate's going to be capped at 35%, down from 37% for very high earners. There's also new floors for itemized deductors, which means you can only deduct a portion of a charitable gift that exceeds 0.5% of your AGI. So you might want to consider accelerating even $1,000, $2,000 gifts right now because you can take advantage of some full deductibility. So if it were me and I were at my best and I was thinking about how to give to whichever organization you're passionate about, what's coming up in the months of October with both DAF Day and with World Sight Day coming up on October 9th, it's a great plan. It's a great time to plan that gift. Think about who you can impact the most. What missions are exactly aligned to what you would like to do? And ours is one of those that's uniquely positioned to deliver that promise and mission on a global basis.
Oh man, fantastic. That's, really getting into the weeds here. And that's great for folks to just have some of those like clear cut, like simple. I love the way you broke it down into a couple real scenarios here and why pulling these gifts forward might be beneficial. That's really great. And I guess, so we talked a little bit about how crypto donors can, rally to great causes like these. I guess going into year end, I mean, any kind of advice for maybe those nonprofits who either thinking about this, we've heard about it, we've seen some stories from other nonprofits that have seen some success on a variety of scales, but if there's someone who's just kind of like crypto curious out there, we've batted this idea around. Maybe it's never quite bubbled up to sort of like a top priority, but it's always something we've been hearing. Or this year, we got the tap on the shoulder to at least say, hey, maybe we should revisit this crypto thing. Any kind of learnings that you want to share from, your experience in rolling something like this out, or any kind of more of those granular tips you have for fundraisers that are interested in potentially turning on something like a new crypto option as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, I would say is that at the heart of all innovation and entrepreneurship, whether it's in the for-profit space with amazing organizations that are doing great work in the cryptocurrency space, both as individual coins and also in trading platforms, disruption is at the center of all innovation, which advances us all forward, whether it's philanthropic organizations or it's for-profit organizations. When I think about this community very specifically, sometimes we don't think that cryptocurrencies, donor-advised funds, and gifts of this magnitude and size can have impact. But I want to illustrate a couple pieces of impact which I think are important to all the communities that we serve. And let's take, for example, a $10,000 donation. That level of support can really move the needle in research that may go unfunded. And that unfunded research in today's day and age, where chemistry and biology are intersecting in ways that we can deliver therapeutics through injectables or in pill form to the body, we are on the cusp of breakthroughs. And the only way for us to accelerate that even quicker to a loved one who suffers from low vision, to restore vision to someone who has lost sight or is visually impaired, those individuals who are in this domain and space, this is absolutely the place that you need to be. There are communities that form and rally around this specific area around cryptocurrency and donor advised funds because they care. And the best way to create that return on investment for all of us is to measure it in the lives that we change. In the child who retains their vision long enough to see their first book, in the adult who regains enough sight to stay independent, and the breakthroughs that I know that are going to move us much closer to curing a variety of inherited retinal diseases and blinding conditions. So this community has a ton of power. There are 4 trillion in assets custodied alone in cryptocurrency today in market capitalization. So any organization, including ours, we would be incredibly grateful to benefit from that type of donation. And if you're a nonprofit that hasn't considered this, this is an amazing way to drive more mission and change people's lives.
Oh, fantastic. Well, when we love, highlighting these real world use cases for crypto, we always, enjoy having nonprofits on here, just sharing what that real world impact is. I guess as we start to wrap things up, Jeff, anything that, we haven't covered, anything that you want to make sure, everybody knows, just, something that we may have glossed over and might not have covered, I just want to give the floor to you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Nick. And one, I want to thank the Giving Block for the amazing work that you all do. You really do provide a transformational platform for nonprofit organizations globally to be able to make it very painless and easy to do good in the world. And who doesn't want to create more social good in the world that creates impact? I think that the one thing that I would say in finishing up and to your audiences and those who may want to consider making a donation to the Foundation Fighting Blindness is we need people to understand that all of the technology advancements, all the platforms that we get to give on, we are literally at the cusp of changing what it means to live with blindness. There are individuals out there who have the power, they have the capacity. It may be smaller donations, it may be transformational donations. But that's the type of radical transformation in human potential. It's happening right in front of our eyes right now. And those who wish to join the foundation are the ones who are going to push science over that edge to make it part of our common world and hopefully a world without blinding diseases.
Oh man, Jeff, I couldn't think of a better way to kind of end. And I think it's really going to energize, our crypto listeners. I think you've given some great practical steps for those who are maybe crypto curious. We'll make sure to include all the relevant links in our show notes. As Jeff mentioned, there are some great awareness days and some great moments of giving that we're certainly just around the corner as we head into year end. We'll make sure to put links to the Foundation Fighting Blindness in the show notes. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And with that, everybody, we've got some great guests that we're going to continue to bring on through year end. We'll try to bring on some great guests before everybody's really swamped and totally busy with the year end giving madness. But we think this is going to be one of the biggest years for crypto giving in general, as Jeff mentioned, with the appreciation that we're seeing in the market and just some of the macro factors that are coming into play. Couldn't line up better, I think, for the year end giving season. So who knows, we might see some huge transformational change coming to great organizations like yours, Jeff. So with that, everybody, we will see you next time.